I have felt like that though on the internet. Like there's things on there I don't need to see. Like I'm better off without knowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know if ignorance is bliss, but like semi-ignorance is a little bit more blissful than knowing what I know.
What I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Because everything is on the internet.
Yeah.
Everything.
Right.
Like, it's too much.
It is too much. And that's not even including like the dark web, which we still have yet to find.
Right. On
So,
purpose, though.
on purpose, you're right.
I don't even go on Reddit because that's a little too close, you know? It feels like a gateway drug to
Yeah.
the dark web.
It is. It is. Reddit is a
So,
gateway drug to the dark web.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a true statement.
Yeah.
But the other day, I felt my age for the first time. And I don't mean the check engine light on my knees. I mean, mentally, I felt it. I was hanging out with a colleague, really sweet person, but they were talking about New Year's plans. And
Mm.
the phrase in and of itself is like honestly non-existent to me now at this point. Like, what do you mean New Year's plans? Like a new year will come and I will plan to live in the new year. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's the most planning you're going to get on New Year's now.
Right. Like the biggest thing I start thinking about is how many times am I going to write the wrong year, the wrong date when I'm, dating things?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Easily
actually
into March. Easily into March. Yeah.
that's so true. No, that's a
Yeah.
really good point. And like I don't know, we were just having other conversations and I don't know, I was like I felt like a cynic, which we talk about a lot here on the pod, like, being a little bit cynical on things, but I was just kind of like everything is just like there's no more rose-colored glasses at this point. And I'm not saying I'm old, I'm
Right.
just saying I felt my age and not that they were just like, Pollyanna or anything like that, but it was just kind of like
Were they going out? Like, what was their plans?
yeah,
Or
so the
what are
plan
their
was
plans?
basically so the plan was basically centered around like, well, we're the fun. Like they were like, we can go, to any, bar or like we can go to any party and like even if because basically they were saying that some of their friends were complaining that the event that they had went to the past few years was a little bit too mature and adult and like
Oh.
that there were older people there that were kind of boring on New Year's Eve. Which I was like, yeah, that's probably me. I'm like for the past few years I've been in bed before the ball drops, like before midnight. And they were basically like, yeah, like it starts early, so like, all the older folk are like already tired by like 10:30. And I was like, that sounds about right, honestly.
Right. Sounds like
you
a
know
good time to leave.
right, but they were just basically like, but if we have a good group of us, like our age, and they were saying our age, and I was like, oh, you think I'm your age, and I'm not. And, which again, 25 and 30 are two very different ages. Like,
Right.
what I was doing at 25, I am no longer doing at the age of 30. And it's not because like I'm married. It's just because I'm not
It's just
doing the same.
preference.
It's just
Yeah, it's
preference,
just preference
right?
at this point.
Yes.
And that's not to say we didn't have some wild New Year's
Oh,
Eves. Like,
we did.
been there, done that.
Yeah.
So
Multiple
they're the
times.
ones missing out. They're the ones who don't know how to be 25.
Right, I know. I'm like, you're totally at the age to just like go and do everything. But everything was centered around like, yeah, and it's fun because like you can drink and then when you get there you can eat, but then you still have energy so you can drink more and like da da da. And I was just like, oh, that's cute. Like I don't want to do that. I don't want to drink and have energy to drink more.
Right. And also you can't go anywhere. You should have you need to be these people's guide, not that you need to join in their festivities.
Yeah.
Because you can't just go to any party. Most places you need a ticket before if you're going to the club. These are all pre-planned events.
Yes.
You are it's going to be hard to get there. It's going to be hard to get in. You're going to be standing around in your heels for a long time. You better bring a coat because you're not going to get inside for a while. You better hope it happens before midnight.
Right.
Like,
But
these
we
are all
never cared
factors
about
they
those
don't know. Well,
Yeah,
because
but
we've had the plans, like,
well, we did have
and
the
they
plans, but also we did stand in line for things when we
right,
went places, but we didn't
exactly.
care because you're talking to every person that walks by you,
Right, you got a
you know.
pregame before, like,
Right. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And
they
so
yeah.
it was just very like, oh, I was like, I'm having I'm having that moment where I'm like, I don't miss it because we went
Mhm.
hard like in our
We did
heyday.
it. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
went hard, but I'm good now. I'm past it.
Right. I'm good
So
now. Yeah.
yeah, I was just like, that's cool. I mean, I hope you figure out your plans, whereas like 5 years ago, I'd have been like, oh, well, let me know. Like we can plan something, we can like do
Right.
it. Like, don't worry. Uber's only a text away, like da da da. And now I'm
Right.
like,
Surge charges are only gonna be like $100 one way. We're gonna make this happen. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna text a
exactly.
guy who knows a guy. I'm gonna get us on that list. Like,
Yes,
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bunch of random numbers in my phone. Yes, those
Yeah.
days.
Ah, yeah, that's true. That's really true. Millennials out there, let us know if you agree.
Yeah, let us know how you feel. Do you even care to make New Year's Eve plans, or are you amongst us that are like, let's have a cute night in. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'll never go to a party again or like New Year's Eve will never be an event, but I will be those people that are like done by 10:30 and, looking for somewhere to sit all night. So,
Right. Yeah. Right.
got to be a
Fair.
lounge, it's got to be a lounge. Even a house gathering. We don't even have to call it a party. We could just have a gathering
Right.
of like-minded people. Sounds like a book talk or something.
Right. Yeah. You want to go to book club for your New Year's Eve
I mean,
festivities. Yeah.
wouldn't be the worst thing. So,
Yeah. Doesn't sound too bad.
yeah. But
Love it.
anywho, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get into today's topic.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, to go with the holidays near? No, approaching holiday.
Yes.
What am I talking about? Um, so today we're talking about outdated holiday traditions.
Oh, yes. Love this.
I know, I know. So to start it off, I wanted to see if we had any holiday traditions ourselves. Like, does your family have
That we
anything
feel are outdated
specific?
or just in general?
Just in general. We can talk
Okay.
about if we think they're outdated, but like in
Oh,
general, is there anything?
yeah. So, um, usually usually for Christmas Eve, we do a big thing. We used to do it at our house, but now we do it at a cousin's house. And it's basically like invite whoever you want. Obviously family is a given, which, you know, family's a given. But yeah, you can invite friends, like, close friends if you'd like to, if they're available, right? And don't have somewhere to go. But yeah, my dad makes gumbo, Creole gumbo. He's
Mm.
been perfecting it for years now, so that's just always the highlight. And then we usually do a gift exchange that gets quite competitive, if you can believe it or not. Uh, yeah, and then we usually like dance a little bit, chat it up, and we're usually done wrapping up around like 12:31, somewhere around there. But it's usually like an all day thing, we'll hang out all day and people will kind of trickle in, come as they want. And then yeah, go home and have Christmas at home. But we used to do for Thanksgiving, we used to rent like cabins and basically do like glamping, which was really fun. And we would just
Oh
do like
yeah.
yeah, you and Jose came out
Yeah.
a few times. And we do like, yeah, bonfires at night. And then we just like honestly hang out, play games during the day. We'd always play like charades or, card games or whatever. And honestly, just like hang out, talk, chat, sleep, like just enjoy each other, and that was more for like the cousins on my mom's side. And that was always really fun because it was always just like a super chill way to like come into the holiday instead of like running around like the grocery store. So,
Yes. Yeah. That all
uh,
sounds great. I don't think I would write any of those off.
no, those are yeah, that's what I was saying. There's some outdated ones for other holidays, but as far as for like Thanksgiving and Christmas, Those ones
Mhm.
I actually do very much enjoy, when I'm there. So,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
Um, so my family all gets together. We always go to my grandma's.
Hmm.
Um, I based on this topic, so we usually eat the same thing we have for Thanksgiving at Christmas.
Oh, that's
So
lame.
that's yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll switch it up. I am making a few things this year
Hmm.
of my own accord. So I'll be throwing that into the mix. Um, but
They won't get a center stage place. Then.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
They'll
Yeah,
be
they'll
like on
be
the
on the
kitchen.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Um, but my cousin and my aunt are really trying to push a family talent show.
Oh
They've done
God.
it. Yeah.
Wait,
I
you've
don't think
done
she's
that?
listening, but if she is, sorry, Sierra. It's yes, and it's as awkward as it sounds. And no one
Wait.
really wants to do it except for my aunt and my cousin. But nobody has like the heart to be like, no, this is weird. Like, why can't we just play games and like enjoy each other's company?
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be an interesting.
So this is kind of like the tradition that we have now adopted, where we all go to karaoke at a local like dive bar with my oldest sister, because she's amazing. She's an amazing singer though. So it's
Right.
it's really unfair, but like we go to support her and to just like have fun. Of course other people are there doing karaoke the way karaoke is supposed to be done, which is like, tipsy and bad, right? Like that's
Right.
the idea. But
Right.
she goes because she can actually really bring the house down. Like she's an incredible singer, right? Like she
Yes.
literally has been asked back. They're like, "Yeah, you're a regular here because she's good at it." So it
Right.
kind of feels like an unfair advantage. We'll say that.
Right.
You know,
Exactly. Because my cousin has been performing her whole life.
right.
She
Yeah.
is a talented singer.
Yeah.
She also does like tap dance and has just been performing her whole life. So I'm like,
Yeah.
if you want to get up and sing at Christmas, that's fine.
Right.
I'm cool with that.
Yes.
But I don't want to put together some like, you know, half-ass like awkward. It was last year was so uncomfortable. Like
What
it's
were
just
some? Just give us some examples, like magic tricks, comedy, any stand up.
no, no, because no one wanted to do anything. So everyone threw something together at the last second.
Oh.
So we had to sing Frosty the Snowman. Like with my parents, I'm 30 years old singing Frosty the Snowman with my mom while my dad sits in a chair with a hat on and a corncob pipe. Ryan's not saying anything because she's laughing and can't breathe, you guys. So, yes, it's as awkward as it sounds.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's fucking wonderful. I mean, again, to be a fly on the wall. Like, I don't know, it might even be too cringe to be a fly on the wall, but
You love the cringe, though.
I
You
love the
would
cringe.
love it. You would
I
love
would.
it,
I'd
but
I'd I'd encore. Like, let's go. What else you
oh,
got?
no.
A Silent Night. Oh Holy Night. What do we got? Oh,
Ah,
that's hilarious. All
that's
right.
yeah.
All right. Any other
So,
traditions?
I mean, not specific. Like that one's really sticking out in my mind because it's something I'm gonna have to deal with next week. So,
Yes.
well, I will let you guys know. I will
Right.
report back.
I
We'll
will
see.
say another tradition that I do feel like is becoming outdated, and it's really not even a tradition, but we try to make it happen every year, is like we always try to coordinate what colors to wear, which like you think that would be
Mm,
easy, like, oh, red and green, right? It's Christmas time. But there's always somebody, honestly me and like a few other people, that are like, can I wear like a sage green, or can I do like the accent color? Can I be like a mustard yellow to your red and green? And it's like, no, Ryann, but it's not just me. There are others, or someone's like, I really like, the Cabernet. Like, I don't really like red, or
right,
my sweater isn't actually ugly. It's just a cute sweater that I'm wearing to the ugly sweater party. You know what I mean?
right.
But I show
Yeah,
up in a legitimate grandma thrift store, bells on my sweater vest, kind of ugly sweater party. And I really commit to the bit.
yeah,
And other people just come in sweaters that say like ho 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 and are like, woman cut. And
yeah.
I'm a,
Yes.
and I'm in like Frumperton, sweater vest. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. So, yeah, those are some traditions.
sure.
Mine was more of an example of a tradition that's being pushed that I'm pushing against. That basically everyone's pushing against. So, I don't know if it'll become a tradition,
I hope it
but
does. I hope it does for
it
the sake of
oh
our podcast.
uh
For the sake of
so
content.
okay, so what is it about traditions? All right, let's get into this.
Okay.
So, the definition of a tradition is the transmission of customs or beliefs from generation to generation, or the fact of being passed on this way.
Okay.
Okay. So, traditions provide a connection for families or friends. And
Okay.
then throughout this article, they interviewed a mental health counselor, and she explains that traditions are a way of families passing on their identity and cultural values. By
Hmm.
having our tradition, we are saying this is how our family does things, and it creates a sense of belonging.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So, in some ways, we do have that. We all get together, go to my grandma's. And we do adults open their presents Christmas Eve, and then we'll do Christmas morning for the kids, and then we'll
Okay.
usually do like a formal dinner
Okay.
Christmas Day evening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't really do formal dinners. Like it's just whenever the gumbo's ready. But we do have all like everyone, bring sides if they want, whatever people want to
Mhm.
bring.
Yeah.
So I do actually have an example of an outdated tradition that we all have like outlawed at this point. Like, no, mother, we're not doing that anymore, which I am calling her out, but whatever. Here we are. So my mom used to like to do this like year-end wrap up of like your high and your low of the year. Okay?
Oh. Yeah.
In that order. So you start with your high, you say something that you did really well that year, and then you say a low of the year. So as you can imagine, this got really emotional and like brought up a lot of like undealt with
Oh
trauma.
God. Oh my God.
And it's only funny because we're like 3 years out from the last time we did it because we were like, no, mom, like we are not going around at the end of the night when everyone has had a few drinks and now we're just gonna
Oh.
like air out our dirty laundry. And again, it's called highs and lows. So you have to end on the low and then go to the next person. So somebody's like, hi, I graduated from college. Low, I broke up with my boyfriend of 7 years. And it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But then my mom would get like really critical of like some of the newcomers and their highs and lows.
Because they wouldn't want to be so vulnerable.
Yes. And so like their high would be like, oh, my high is like meeting all of you and being welcome to the family. And my low is that I can't spend Christmas with you all. And my mom would be like, that's not a low. Like she would like veto people.
Oh my God.
My mom was basically saying, like, that's not low enough. Like you need to dig
Right. You
deeper.
definitely did something worse this year. So spill it. Oh my God. This is so on point with your mom, though. She just wants to know all the tea.
Yes.
So,
Oh, yes. It like genuinely makes me laugh because the way that folks would be like, the meme of like the woman like with all the mathematical equations
yeah.
around her, people are like
Yeah.
thinking of like, how can I make my low actually kind of a high, like trying to not be like super vulnerable like during a
Yeah.
holiday and then just have to sit in your trauma for like the rest of the night because it's just out there in the open. And then of course like people would come up to you after like, I'm so sorry.
God.
So yeah, we vetoed that. It was definitely an outdated tradition, but again, this is literally created by my mom. This is like a way that she would like again to open up, but the way that it was structured was just like wildly shitty.
Mm.
And it just led to like a lot of awkward conversations with new people that would come into the group. And again, once my mom started vetoing, I'm pretty sure that was the last year. We're like, Mom, you can't do this. Like, this is just wildly intrusive. Like, not okay at all. So yeah, I completely forgot. But that was definitely a tradition that was one, it was never dated. Like it was always outdated. You know what I mean? Like it never really
Yeah.
was well. But Yeah, that I just had to throw that in there because I completely forgot about that.
That wow, I'm so glad you brought that up. That is fascinating and awful, and, uh, I might take the talent show over that.
Oh,
That's
oh, for sure. Oh yeah, for sure. I'd sing Frosty the Snowman 10 times over before
right.
I, air out my high and low of the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ooh, no,
Yeah.
that makes me uncomfortable, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that sounds terrible, but, yeah, and you know what? We kinda had the opposite, so sometimes for Thanksgiving, my aunt will be like, "Everyone go around and say what you're thankful for."
Hate
And
that
then
shit.
every single person says, "I'm thankful for my family."
Family. Of course.
Because, like
Yeah. What else are you gonna
like,
say?
okay,
Right, yeah. Glad you all
yeah,
got a pat on your own back. Cool.
right, exactly.
Ugh,
Yeah, so it's like the total opposite of that.
right, yeah.
If your mom were there, she'd be calling everyone out like, "Shut up. You didn't even talk to these people all year."
She would. Oh my gosh, she totally would. Yeah.
Oh, stupid. All right. So, when traditions change. So, there are many reasons traditions end. It can be something definitive like a death, a divorce, or a move. um, or it can be something less concrete. So, a tradition may run its course and not work over time as lives change or people get older.
Hmm.
Sometimes a tradition ends because the joy it once brought has faded.
Ooh,
I know
damn.
that's a little sad.
I mean, that's
So,
real.
regardless, what?
I said that's real.
That's it is real. So, regardless of why a tradition ends, there's a feeling of loss. There's a sadness when we lose a tradition. We realize that life doesn't stand still. It may bring to light that there is more life behind you than in front of you.
Jesus.
Yikes. If a tradition ends because of a person's death, it can remind you of your own immortality. Don't worry, we're going to end this on a high note. We're not just giving you this episode to bring you down. So,
Right before the holiday, yeah.
right. Just because a tradition ends doesn't mean it wasn't meaningful. It's okay to have mixed feelings. You might be grateful for the good memories, sad the tradition has ended, but also happy you can move forward in a different way.
That's fair. I will say, like, especially around our generation, like I would say like 5 years older than millennials and like 5 years younger, and just younger in general, like we do have kind of a disdain for like these old archaic like traditions put on us.
Yeah.
I know for like my cousins and I, we have like broken away from things that like our parents used to do because it just like doesn't suit us. It doesn't, serve us. Like nothing about those traditions were really fun for us. I know one tradition that like some of my other family members, won't name who, but do they would like do gifts for everyone, and like the family members that couldn't do gifts for everyone were just kind of like, I can't do that. So like that kind of leaves us in an awkward place. And
Mm,
so like other people in the family would try to make up for that and like buy gifts for them to give to other people. And it just turned into this weird, like, this is just a competition. Like, this isn't fun for anyone. And so we have now, like, that's why we do the gift exchange. So we'll do like a gift exchange game. So it makes it a little bit more fun because there's like a few good prizes, and then there's like some
yeah.
wah prizes, whatever. But it at least like includes everyone so that no one
Yeah.
feels a little like left out. Because we do
Yes.
have a lot of younger cousins, we have a lot of kids, like, and we just have like a lot of people in our family in general.
Right.
Like some of our we have 10 to 12 to 15 cousins that could come on any given holiday.
Right.
So, and then we always just have like a few gift cards on the side so that everyone can at least be like, oh, I contributed something.
Right.
But yeah, that I feel like is more so us trying to like reinvent those traditions, and trying to like have a more positive, expectation on it. We don't expect people to stay for the whole time, where in the past that was very expected. Like, why are you leaving early? Like, this is the
Yeah.
holiday, we're supposed to be together the entire holiday. But now we start a little bit later and people can leave. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
okay, like they have responsibilities, they want to go be with their family, like do that. So I do
Right.
feel like in a lot of ways, like you're saying, like in some ways those older archaic traditions can make you think about, like you said, your immortality or your mortality, and like the ways in which that like you've like not wasted your life, or you know what I mean, the ways in which like, oh, like I'm not living up to the potential that folks expect of me. Like, let's leave all that at the door. You know what I mean? We don't have
Yeah.
to get into everyone's life. Like, let's just have some fun, have some music or good, good food, whatever, and like keep it pushing kind of thing.
Right. Yes, I do like that. I do
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten there yet in my
Yeah.
family.
Fair. Fair.
So coping with a tradition's end. So when a tradition ends, Salts, which is the person they interviewed for this, she says, or she suggests that people give themselves permission and time to grieve, try not to get bogged down by absolutes. So rather than saying we will never have Christmas dinner again, which can be overwhelming, take it one step or year at a time.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
So if you're the one deciding to end a tradition, don't feel guilty. So I'm not feeling bad about this talent show. That's all I'm saying. So taking care of your own emotional and mental health is important. If you feel burnt out and push yourself to continue a tradition, it can lead to resentment or outbursts.
Yeah.
So rather than focusing on the tradition itself, look at the meaning behind it. The idea behind a tradition is about connection, but traditions can be confining and can become exhausting if you do them year after year. If
Yes.
the tradition no longer brings you joy, explain it to your friends and family and let them know that you still want to connect with them but in a new way.
Yeah, easier said than done.
I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah, you try telling a group of boomers that you want to do something differently. Let me know how that goes and give me tips, because I have yet to do it
Right.
effectively.
I feel like an outlaw because I'm going to bring Brussels sprouts and glazed carrots to Christmas. I'm like, look out. Black sheep's coming in. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yes. No,
Those are perfectly
exactly.
fine, normal side dishes. And I'm like, oh, I'm scared.
Too much color on the table,
Yeah.
and it's not from the doilies. So,
Right. Oh, have you been to my grandma's? You've been to my grandma's house. Yeah.
yes, I
So
have been
many
to your grandma's
doilies.
house.
You
That's
know
just a
exact.
trope
Yeah.
for grandma's house, but it also does truly apply in your situation.
It truly does. Yeah. Yes. Starting a new tradition. So, the end of a tradition can also give people a chance to make a needed change. Letting go of old traditions doesn't have to be somber. It can provide an opportunity to clarify your family's values and create new traditions that are in better alignment with those values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, you gave us a great example with your cousins. I really like that.
Yes. Yeah. Less pressure. Like, holidays when you're young are so different, and they're only different for folks that were able to be under like the guys that like Christmas is like a happy time. For a lot of people, the holidays aren't actually a happy time. They're nervous about seeing their family. They don't have the means to provide for what people deem a fun Christmas, right? And so I just think, like, as I get older, I realize that like everyone doesn't look at the holidays the same. For some
Right.
people it's just like a breath, like it's just a few days off of work that they can just like breathe for a second. And to like pile that time of the year on with like more responsibility, to folks in your life, like it's just that's tough. Like I sure don't want that, but at the same time, like how much can you change how much can you change in your life that is not, that won't be a negative impact on others, right? Because like it's saying, like, if you don't feel comfortable partaking in the talent show, like if your whole family was really in on it and everyone was like, no, this is a great thing that we love to do, and you were like, but I don't feel comfortable in it, how much can you really just be like, well, I'm gonna opt out, but I still want to enjoy the company? It's kind of like you're going to be pressured into still doing it.
Right.
So take it with a grain of salt, like easier said than done.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very true.
Yeah.
Well, we're not ending on that note. So let's talk about 15 weird, forgotten Christmas tradition nobody does anymore.
Yes.
Traditions. Sorry. There's 15. All right. So number one is making real sugar plums.
I don't even know what
So
that is. Oh,
they
candied? Is it candied?
so they weren't actually plums at all. So, in the poem from 1823, 'twas the night before Christmas, the line, the children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums dance in their heads, was where this term came from.
Okay.
But sugar plums, these were originally made with caraway seeds or cardamom pods, some kind of spice that was then coated in sugar.
Okay. Okay.
So modern holiday recipes involve dried fruit or nuts and are actually, quote, not at all authentic, but just something that Alton Brown made up
Okay.
from Food Network. In this case, the word plum comes from the non fruit related usage, meaning desirable, such as the term a
Mhm.
plum job.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like sweets.
Sweets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So number two, which I'd never heard of this one, so you let me know if you have, is putting fruitcake under your pillow.
No, but I know about the fruitcake trope because it's usually disgusting.
Well, so placing fruitcake under your pillow actually has some pretty sweet origins. If you ate a piece of fruitcake, especially if it was from a wedding, and put the rest under your pillow at night, legend said you dream of the person you will marry.
That's incredibly random.
So, yeah, right? So, uh, and then it goes on to say, and this isn't the only antiquated Christmas tradition involving love. Christmas revelers in the 17th century would also do things like throw food at the wall to see if it stuck, to see if what stuck spelled out the name of their lover. They'd
I mean,
also go ahead.
we will look to the stars, we will look to dreams,
True.
we will look to anything to find out something that will save us from like singledom. You know what I mean? Like we'll do it
True.
all.
I
So
know.
throw food. You know what I mean? Like
Right. Yeah.
throw the food. Figure out who you're gonna marry, you know?
Throw the food. Exactly. So they'd also toss shoes into trees, and if they hung there, the thrower would be married within a year. Today, English royalty continue to serve fruitcake at Christmas time gatherings as a nod to this tradition.
Yeah, but
So,
like fuck the royals. Whatever.
I mean, yeah, fuck fruitcake too. I'm not into it. I don't.
No. No, that's like the joke that, you bring that to like the Christmas party that no one eats it. It's like this
Right,
weird
you use it
gelatinous,
as like
like,
a doorstop.
yeah.
It's got those weird fake cherries.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
weird. Okay.
Those are sugar
Um,
plums.
those are So the next one, number three, is celebrating the Feast of the Donkey. So in 12th century France, a donkey would lead a procession through the center of town to the local church where a service was in session. The donkey would remain next to the church's altar for the duration of the service, and congregants would mimic its bray in a call and response with the priest. This
Is this
tradition, what?
well, because like are these Christmas holidays or just holiday traditions?
These are, I mean, the article was 15 weird forgotten Christmas traditions.
Oh, okay. Because like
Yeah.
Christmas is like a pagan holiday, right?
I mean, to some, I think we do get into that a little bit in one of
Okay.
these. We'll
Okay.
see. But I mean, some people say like Jesus's birthday,
Right.
but I think you're right. I think it does have some pagan origins as well in
Yeah.
regards to the way it's celebrated, but we'll
Yeah.
get through some of these and I think that it'll kind
Okay.
of clarify. So this tradition known as the Feast of the Donkey was accompanied by a raucous or by raucous parties that usually got out of hand. The celebration became such a problem that many towns eventually banned it. So, Feast of the Donkey.
Yeah. It's a rowdy time.
The Could you just imagine people like sitting in a church, like doing like a donkey? What I don't, I can't even think of what a
Yeah.
donkey sounds like, but they're
Like,
just like,
or whatever.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
just
I mean, honestly,
yawing.
yes. I've seen people do weird shit. So, like, that
That's
doesn't
true.
sound the
That's
craziest to
true.
me.
That's true. You've
Yeah.
been on the internet.
Yeah.
We talked
Right.
about that
Yeah.
earlier.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a whole
Okay.
Reddit thread about all of this. Yeah.
I'm sure it's on Pornhub. There's
Yeah.
just a whole section Feast of the Dog. Please don't search that. Never mind. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Donkey Feast Pornhub. Let us know what you find.
Ew. Okay. Number 4 is electing a child to run the church. So, derived from the influence of Roman Saturnalia celebrations, social inversion was a popular Christmas time practice centuries ago. This would typically involve the election of a quote boy bishop or child to run the church in lieu of a minister during the feast of St. Nicholas on December 6th. In the most extreme examples, you'd wind up with some 3-year-old running around leading the whole thing.
Okay, this is wild, but this is in the second book of the series that I'm reading.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're celebrating Saturnalia. It's like in the 16th century, and they're
Huh.
celebrating it. But what they do is basically like the servants are like become like the ruling class for the day or whatever. Like they become,
Oh.
yeah, and so like they switch places and they let, yeah, like there's like a young character in the book, this little boy who like becomes like the whatever the fuck, the not king, but like he becomes like the ruler for the day.
Leader,
Leader, yeah.
yeah, okay.
That's
Oh,
hilarious. Yeah.
interesting.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, this is exactly what I just read.
Oh, that's funny. How far along are you in that book? Are you almost done?
No, I'm about midway. Yeah,
Okay.
but I
Okay.
will be finishing it soon. Yeah, because I really want to get to the third one. And it
Okay.
was just recommended to me on like Amazon Prime, and I was like, "Fuck!" Now I have like pictures of like characters in my head, which I hate.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I kind of forgot what
I
they looked like, but anyways, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so number 5 is observing the 12 days of Christmas. So
Yes.
today, the Christmas season runs from Thanksgiving to Christmas Day, but that wasn't always the case. Before, it was the other way around. The months leading up to Christmas were considered Advent, which, similar to Lent, was considered a time of restraint for Christians. Instead, Christmas season was from Christmas until the eve of the Epiphany, January 6th.
Mm,
And the biggest celebrations were actually held on the final day, known as Twelfth Night, which served as the inspiration for William Shakespeare's play of the same name.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. This one's pretty funny. So, number 6 is hiding string beans in your Christmas cake.
Ew.
I know. So many games and Christmas celebrations were once held on Twelfth Night, and one of those traditions was to bake a cake and hide something in it, like a string bean or a coin, which is similar to the modern tradition of finding a bean or figurine in a king cake served on during Mardi Gras. So whoever found the item in their slice of cake on Twelfth Night would lead the evening's festivities.
Yes. Yeah, I did know that.
Okay, so now the next one is appointing a Lord of Misrule. So, under the tradition of the Lord of Misrule, which was popular in medieval courts, a jester or clown would become mayor of the city for the Christmas season, suggesting all sorts of funny things that everyone would have to do. Depending on the village's ruling structure, this was also something known as the Abbot of Unreason. This
Oh, this
what?
is like a combination. Okay, I might be getting it wrong. This is like also something that they're talking about because the like the Lord character in this book, he becomes like the jester. He becomes the
Oh,
jester. And so he like has to like do whatever like this kid says. And so he's kind of like playing with them, like, oh, you have to do this, you have to wear this,
right.
like you have to sing, you have to dance, you know. And they do mention a Lord of Misrule. Huh.
Ooh,
Yeah.
good timing for this
I
episode in
know.
your book.
I know.
So this tradition was meant to provide entertainment through the entire Christmas season, Eventually, the raucous celebration was banned in 1541 by Henry VIII and banned again by Elizabeth I after a brief resurrection by her predecessor. So, number 8 is wearing costumes. Wearing costumes used to be a traditional part of the Christmas celebration. In one famous instance, a group of 13th century nobles burned to death when the tar on their forest savages costumes caught on fire.
Mm.
King Charles, meanwhile, narrowly escaped the incident, and the practice was henceforth banned within his court. But we still dress up
Yeah,
sometimes.
sometimes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that one still kind of applies a little bit.
Yeah. The next one, number 9, is caroling extortion. So caroling used to look a lot more like trick or treat. In fact, in 19th century Europe, it was an occasion. Yeah, no, it was an occasion for poor folks to request gifts from wealthy landowners. Quote, they'd go from house to house and say, okay, we're going to sing you a song, and you can either invite us in for food and drink, but if you don't, you never know what's going to happen to your yard.
On God, so many of our fucking traditions come from just like, this was the one day a year where poor people could ask for more. Like
Yeah.
literally. Like,
Yeah.
and if not, like they were like savages. Like it's just so fucked. Like again,
Right.
I say fuck the royals. Off with their heads. Off with their heads.
Off with that. There you go. Have you ever been caroling?
Yeah, we did it like as a part of like a church thing one time.
Oh,
It
okay.
was really
Okay.
awkward and really cold.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it would be all of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
people liked it, but like again, right? Like I'm just there, like I don't sing, but I'm gonna pretend that I'm singing. I'm like mouthing, blah blah blah, wah wah wah, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. um, I'm into this one. So number 10 is telling scary ghost stories. So in the song, It's the Most Wonderful Time of Year, you hear the line, there'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories. And you may wonder why there would be scary ghost stories on Christmas. In addition, you might be curious as to why A Christmas Carol, one of the most famous Christmas stories, is a ghost story.
Mm.
So, the Victorians who helped cement many of the modern American ideas of Christmas loved scary stories. In fact, A Christmas Carol was far from the only Christmas themed ghost story Charles Dickens wrote. Yes, Christmas was once more spooky and scary rather than warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into that. I would I would do that over the
A
talent
talent show.
show. So kind of connected to that one, number 11 is celebrating the supernatural. So it wasn't just ghost stories that once made Christmas the most eerie time of year. There used to be a huge supernatural component to Christmas.
Mm.
For example, in some parts of Europe, it was believed that supernatural activity was at a high on Christmas Eve, sort of like or sort of compared to Day of the Dead. Additionally, in Germany and Poland, if a child was born on Christmas Eve, they were considered more likely to be a werewolf.
Mm. I mean, yeah, like Christians believe that like a virgin had a baby. So I don't know how much more supernatural it gets than that, but I'm gonna say some of the traditions live on. I'm just gonna like we can't forget the obvious. Like, come on, like, come on,
That's
Mary,
true.
girl, just give it up, bitch. Yeah,
Oh my
like
god.
you know.
Yes. Oh my god, that was great. Snaps to you. That was hilarious. I thought I was gonna get you with the werewolf, and then you came back with that. Oh,
A werewolf is not as crazy as a virgin getting pregnant. And like sticking to the bit, you know, like she commit. Like, no, I'm not joking. Like
true. Oh my god, that's so good. Okay, we have just a couple more. Let's get through these. So, number 12 is thinking of Santa Claus as a gnome. So in 1938, Coca-Cola and the artist Hadan Sundblom decided to depict Santa as a 6 foot, full grown human grandfather. Due to their massive marketing budget, Coke's version of Santa Claus spread far and wide and soon became the standard image of Santa throughout the US and much of Europe.
Standard
But
white image.
that's good
Yeah.
point. Before that, however, descriptions of Santa were, quote, all over the map. This included variations of Santa as an elf and a gnome, and much of the time he wasn't depicted as fully human at all.
Yeah, that makes way more sense than just some old dude that like wants to give presents. That's weird. I'd rather him be a gnome.
That's true. That's a
You
very
know?
good
Like, how does that
perspective.
not freak out kids that like some old dude is just gonna come in their house like uninvited, eat food, and then like leave them gifts because he's been watching them all year? Like, why are these things we tell kids?
That's a good point.
That's incredibly creepy. That's like the opposite of don't talk to strangers. No, don't talk to them, but let them in your house at once a year and let them watch you all year.
Right. Yeah. He's watching you. This
He
is
sees
some
you when
great
you're
perspective.
sleeping.
That's horrifying. That's a really I'm gonna tie all this back now to like these ghost stories
Yeah.
and like these like scary. I'm
Yeah.
like, Christmas is terrifying. The whole tradition. This is we're vetoing the whole thing.
I
Wrap it up.
mean,
It's another day.
yeah. So we should have told Mary.
Oh, no. Okay, number 13 is worrying about Santa's gruff helpers. So, prior to modern adoption of reindeer and elves in Saint Nick mythology, Santa's helpers were a little more sinister. Instead, he would have these, quote, gruff characters that walk around with him and dole out punishment. This includes the menacing Krampus, a horned goat demon who punishes naughty children and whose presence on Christmas is still recognized in Austria, Hungary, Slovenia, and Slovakia.
Yeah, isn't that like where the episode of The Office comes from where Dwight dresses up
Oh,
as what's the name of it? It's not
um,
Krampus, it's
oh,
Belschnickel.
oh, yes,
Belschnickel. Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like to scare the kids, but also to like, have something that, and again, it's so funny because the reason why that character isn't liked is one, because he's, yeah, super scruffy, like weird, but also he's not just doling out like different gifts, right? He's like giving out like sticks for like building a fire or like, like things that are like useful, but it's like, that's
right,
not fun, Yeah, you can't put
right.
that like on a Coke ad. So,
Number 14 is believing in first footing. So this superstitious Christmas tradition has fallen out of favor in recent years, but first footing was the belief that the first person to cross the threshold of a home on Christmas Eve is considered good luck, especially if it was a dark-haired gentleman. That's so specific and doesn't make any sense.
incredibly random. Yeah.
And the last one is foregoing the tree. So, the Christmas tree was a regional German tradition, and for many centuries, you would have been hard pressed to find people celebrating around a tree outside of Germany. Decorating Christmas trees only became popular internationally after Prince Albert and Queen Victoria were sketched standing next to one at Windsor Palace in 1848. Um, yeah, so then soon after, the British, Americans, and other Europeans began doing the same.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know. I always think about that like as I got older, I started to think about like what traditions that we do here in America look super odd to folks coming, from
Yeah.
like other countries. Like, oh, you like buy a $70 tree every year and put things on it. that's an interesting way to, celebrate. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for like lights. I love like going, like driving around and looking at
Right.
Christmas lights. Like I love that. I think that's so fun. And I do like Christmas tree. There's something about it that feels homey. I love the smell. I really
Yes.
do. But it is kind of like one of those traditions that, as kids, it's like fun. As teenagers, you're the one that has to set it up. So it kind of starts to suck.
Yeah.
And by the time you're an adult, you're like, do I need a tree at my house though? Like,
Exactly. Only 1 year did we get a real tree, and
mhm.
that thing sat in our house until like the end of February. It was a bitch to get out. It like left pine needles everywhere.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was it was not good. It was
Yeah,
not good.
exactly. Yeah, our dogs didn't love the tree. They were very skeptical of it. Um, and every time we would go to like move it, they would freak out because they were like, this is a very large object that is never in the
Mm,
house otherwise.
yeah, yeah.
So we were like, we can put a hold on that. So yeah, I'm thinking about getting like a little decorative one for like an end table.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
but
yes, that's totally manageable.
right.
My grandma has like a 6 foot seven, I don't know how tall. It's huge.
Yeah.
We have to get a ladder to like get to the top of it. It's just a lot. It's a big treat.
Yes. Outdated traditions. No.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that's it.
Nice.
That was just some fun outdated traditions, forgotten
Yes.
traditions.
Okay. So if you had the choice, what is one tradition that you would just get rid of, like ixnay on whatever, or what would you replace it with? Like if you could. So think about it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like any of your traditions that you do, family or otherwise, something. It could be just like a, societal tradition that we do. What would you get rid of and what would you replace it with?
Mm, presents are really big in my family, which I'm not complaining about, but like I think we put more emphasis on it than like the spending time together.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
wish we were more focused on just like playing games and hanging
Mm-hmm.
out,
Yes.
especially because not all my family lives nearby. Like there are
Mm-hmm.
people that have to travel really far. So when we are all together,
Yeah.
I think that would be nice. How about
I
you?
agree. Yeah, I agree. If you didn't choose that one, I would have chose that one. Yeah, because gift
Mm,
giving, I just feel like, yeah, especially as an adult, I don't like how forced it feels.
yeah.
I don't want to be forced to try and find something that means something special enough to get you. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I'm all for a good pair of socks, but like, how many socks can we really go around? Like, but if we did replace that, I would say, or no, something that I would get rid of is hanging out on the day of like Christmas and Christmas Eve. I would replace that with like, doing it a week before, even with family, like the way that like Friendsgiving has become like a thing that happens like in the weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, right? Like
Yeah.
I would replace that so that you actually have some days to just relax. Like as much as it sounds like it might be relaxing for some folks to be around family, that's not always the most relaxing time. The most relaxing time is usually when I go home, can take off the ugly sweater. I was going to say fugly sweater. Take off the fugly sweater, like I would
Right.
like to replace the holidays with happening on the holiday days. I wish those days were actually taken as a holiday, like how they use the word holiday in other countries, right? Where holiday just means rest, relaxation, like doing things that you want to do. So I would replace actually hanging out on the holiday day to moving it to like the week before and then enjoying those days actually at home with whether your immediate family, whoever you live with, or, whoever of your choosing just to relax, even if
Yeah.
that's alone, So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
You should get extra days off from work
Yes.
aside from the holiday
Yes.
because I can't speak for everyone, but I would assume that most people would agree that having a little extra time for some like mental relaxation, like you're talking about,
Yes.
is much needed.
Yes. Outside of sick days, which
Yes.
other things aside, I mean, we just need more time off in general. Like,
Yeah.
it still blows my mind that I went to Germany and they get 6 weeks off a year by law.
Yes.
6 weeks off.
Yep.
That's not including sick time. That's just what their vacation is.
Right. That's
So,
the standard.
right, exactly. So I agree. And I don't think there's one person out there that wouldn't. And yeah, that's an outdated tradition of this fucking country. So get it together, America.
Yeah. And that's where we'll leave you.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys so much. We hope you have a great holiday season, whatever looks like for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see you next week.
Yes. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye.